Imagine moving into your dream suburban neighborhood. White picket fences, kids riding bikes, and friendly waves from the neighbors. Now, imagine discovering it's all controlled by a dictator in khakis, the HOA president. A man who fines you $500 for the color of your fence while secretly stealing tens of thousands from your community. That's when I decided, quietly, carefully, he wouldn't just lose his crown, he'd lose everything.
If you've ever fantasized about watching karma roll in like a wrecking ball, this is your story. Hit subscribe and like right now, because today we're not just talking about revenge, we're talking about justice, served cold and with receipts.
When I moved into my new suburban neighborhood, I was looking for peace. I had this picture-perfect idea. Quiet evenings, kids laughing, neatly cut lawns. Instead, I walked into a dictatorship. The dictator's name? Todd, the HOA president. Now, Todd wasn't just any HOA president. He was the kind of guy who got drunk on power from telling people where they could park or what shade of beige their mailbox had to be. He fined people $200 for leaving their trash cans out 1 minute past 9 a.m. He once ticketed a neighbor because their holiday lights weren't symmetrical enough. But here's the kicker. Todd never followed his own rules. His backyard looked like a junkyard for broken lawn ornaments. He built unpermitted structures everywhere, and his fence was taller than city law even allowed.
It was hypocrisy at its finest. But then came the day he came after me. I had just built a fence, and because the official approved stain wasn't available in stores, I bought the closest shade I could find. Honestly, unless you held up a paint swatch, he wouldn't even notice the difference. Todd noticed. He fined me $500. I went to him personally, receipts in hand explaining the shortage. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd show some understanding. Instead, he smirked and said, "Rules are rules."
Patience. And patience is what would destroy him. Todd's first mistake was underestimating me. I volunteered to join the HOA board. I painted myself as the perfect eager neighbor, just trying to help out. Todd, thinking I was harmless, welcomed me in. For 2 years, I played the role. I nodded along at meetings, quietly observed, and took meticulous notes. And oh, did I learn. Todd controlled the board through fear and paperwork. He'd bully members into silence, push votes through when only his friends were present, and lose any paperwork that challenged his authority.
But then his real sin surfaced. He wasn't just a petty dictator. He was a thief. Todd loved to brag about keeping finances in order. But something felt wrong. Our HOA fees were way higher than neighborhoods around us, yet the pool was closed half the summer, under maintenance. Landscaping? A joke. Overgrown bushes, dead flowers. Where was all the money going? I asked for the budget during a meeting. Todd laughed. "Don't worry, I've got it under control." That laugh sounded just like his fence smirk. So, I filed a formal request for the financial records. Weeks passed. Silence. That's when I started knocking on doors.
Turns out I wasn't alone. Dozens of neighbors had asked for records before and were ignored. One neighbor claimed Todd built a fancy new patio using HOA funds. Another swore Todd's kids were swimming at the closed-for-maintenance pool all summer. Piece by piece, suspicion built into certainty. Finally cornered, Todd handed me the financial documents. They were a disaster. Invoices missing, payments mislabeled, strange expenses like $15,000 to a landscaping company that didn't exist. Thousands in administrative costs with no receipts. I cross-referenced every cent with public records. And there it was, the smoking gun. Todd was funneling HOA money straight into his personal accounts. Even worse, he was overcharging for contractor work, then splitting the inflated payments with his shady buddy who handled maintenance. I didn't just build a case. I built a bomb wrapped in spreadsheets, neighbor statements, and notarized proof. All I needed was the right time to light the fuse. Every year the HOA held a meeting. Usually only a handful of bored neighbors showed up. Todd loved it that way. But this year, I made sure the room would be full. For weeks, I went door to door. I didn't reveal everything, but I gave people just enough. You should really come to this meeting. You're going to want to hear what's going on. When the night came, the meeting room was packed wall to wall. Todd started his speech as usual, long-winded, self-congratulatory, dripping with fake sacrifice. I've worked so hard for this community. That's when I stood up. I asked, calmly, Todd, could you explain the $15,000 landscaping fee? He stuttered, laughed nervously. I don't think this is the time or place. I cut him off. Actually, Todd, this is the perfect time. I handed out copies of my report. One by one, neighbors' eyes widened. Whispering turned into gasps, gasps into shouting. Todd tried to regain control. He banged the gavel. But it was over. I called for a vote. By the end of the night, Todd was removed as president. But I wasn't done. We brought in an independent auditor. They confirmed everything I had uncovered, and more. Todd had embezzled over $50,000. He mismanaged tens of thousands more. Fraud, plain and simple. We turned everything over to the police. We also filed a civil lawsuit. The fallout was brutal. Todd had to sell his house just to cover restitution and legal fees. His shady contractor buddy, blacklisted from the county. Todd's reputation was destroyed. His name became the neighborhood's favorite punchline. And when he tried joining another HOA board in the next town over, someone Googled him. He was laughed out of the room. Meanwhile, our neighborhood finally thrived. The pool reopened, landscaping flourished, HOA fees dropped. We added new rules. No single person could control finances, term limits for board members, and an online portal so everyone had access to records. Every time I walk past Todd's old house, now owned by a lovely family, I smile. Because justice wasn't just served, it was plated, garnished, and savored. There's a special kind of satisfaction in watching arrogance collapse under the weight of its own lies. Todd thought he was untouchable. Turns out, patience and receipts can topple even the pettiest tyrant.